How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another squad selection video. 3v3 is coming back up, and if you're like me, you've forgotten most of what happened last season. I gotta go back and look at my own videos to figure out what I was doing. After a month, everything fades away, so let's try to snap out of our collective amnesia and figure out some good squads to use for 3v3. A lot of things change in between seasons, so we lost the one datacron set we had before and gained a new one, so things can shift all the time. So not only jogging your memory, we're going to be talking about some of the theory behind how these new datacron sets are going to work. And I'm going to go over offensive squads, defensive squads, and flex. Offense, where I think you really should just take them on offense and not really set them. Defense, they're either too good, you need to set them on defense just because they're so good, or they don't really have any offensive viability or might be annoying. And then flex, they could really go either way, and that's where a lot of the strategy comes into play with picking your defense and keeping for offense. So let's get into it. And to begin, we're going to be looking at offense-only squads, starting with very key counters that you need to have reserved. Up top, we got Slicker, Malicos, and Kylo Ren Mask. Now, plenty of the player base does not have Malicos, and I feel for you, but this is mainly for all the players that are going to be facing Leia out there. This was the most reliable, other than a mirror, against Leia last season. It was approaching 80%, so you could lose. The more Omicrons, the better. The more relics, the better. And you want a defense stacking datacron on the level 6. If you have one, offensive buffs on the level 3 for set 11 are super helpful as well. I didn't really have a risk of losing when I was using this. Last week, the first week of last 3v3 season, we didn't really know what was going on, but now we do have at least that insight. Same datacron set for both teams, so that should be pretty reliable. Next up, we got Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and if you give him armor and Watt, you can beat Lord Vader with pretty much anything, even Malicos and Maul, which is kind of an interesting comp. I don't think that's worth it because it's drawing the same counters, and it's not a much better win rate. And Kylo Ren can stun Malicos, so I wouldn't recommend setting that, but really you can take this up against kind of anything you want and make it work. You could also take on Jabba with Hux and Kylo Ren Unmasked, and you could run Slicker with Night Sisters, so those are just a few off-screen options. Slicker is pretty flexible on offense. Next, we got Afra, and if you have her datacron, at minimum, her level 9, and then on the level 6, the cooldown reset does help, but I would not say it's by any means mandatory. You might even want revive prevention for Chrysanthemum, and that might work well. But this should beat Jabba pretty easily. I don't think you need Omicrons on it. I was looking at stats from the last time we had this Afracron, and it worked pretty dang solid against Jabba. And back then, there was defense on that datacron set. Jabba has an amazing datacron, but there is no defensive stats on that datacron, so you should be able to get through with this Afra team. It's going to be super valuable. If they don't set Jabba, and they might not, you can try it against CLS, I think maybe Malgus, sometimes weaker Lord Vader comps, like maybe without Maul, but it's going to be a great team. And Sith Eternal, this doesn't change much. I mean, he's a great option. The biggest thing you could probably punch up against is JMK. You might want to do that with Night Sisters, Daka, and Zombie. But give him Watt, and then if you want some extra added security, give him Sith Empire Trooper too, just to take some hits. Great counter to like Malgus, Seer, and Malicos. He's going to be a really valuable offensive tool, but I don't think there's merit to setting him on defense this season. And then JML is probably going to be my go-to for Lord Vader. I have a really good protection datacron, and Lord Vader doesn't have all the options he does in 5v5, and I don't need JML for Leia in 3v3, so I'm looking forward to taking on Lord Vader. I did it last season also with Giant Revan and Hermit Yoda, so it really just depends, but this is a solid lineup anyway, keeping Luke with his younger self. If you don't want to use JML there, I think a good option, and Cal is flexible too, so take all these with a grain of salt. These Jedi splits that are a very flexible faction. I think Giant Luke, Mace, and Cal would make a great team. Mace probably could be swappable. Like if you want to use Mace with JMK, you could put GK here. I think it's just really nice. Just having a tank there to help protect Cal until he gets to his insta-kill, and Luke slowing down the enemy. It's going to be great. Probably going to be good against Malgus too. You can also run Cal with Revan. Probably Cal, Revan, and maybe Jolie just to try to have some insurance there in case one of them goes down. But they could easily probably take out a Malgus team there. If you're not going to use Cal with Revan, I would recommend some of these three for either Wookiees like Tarful or Zori. So I always use Afra for Zori in the past few seasons, but Afra's going to be more valuable. I need someone else. Giant Revan with just kind of a traditional squad, Yoda and Jolie, can get it done. Against Tarful, I think Yoda and Bastila are a good way to go. So a couple options there, and we don't have that Tarful datacron anymore, so it should be a more simple affair. Next, we got Bounty Hunters. This is more either just a quick hit team, like you need to take out one big target and they're not going to kill you too fast. That's when you can use Aura. Or if you're trying to take on Lord Vader or clean up, you want to use Fennec lead. I wouldn't really try it against comps with Maul. And if they do have Maul, you need Beskar Armor Mando instead of the Mandalorian. And then Fennec needs to do all the heavy lifting with the killing. So I don't know. But I also have a boss team later on, which should be pretty fun. Bad Batch, you might be able to use them against Wookiees now. I'm not sure without the Wookiee datacron, but we don't have clone datacrons either, so they are a little bit weaker. They should be rather solid against droids though, either General Grievous or a sortie team. And they're just various options. Maybe Sana team, just a nice clean counter to some of the lesser B teams out there. And then Gas. So Gas takes a step down because we don't have the Jedi DC anymore on the level 6. We don't have armor penetration in absurd amounts anymore. So he's probably not going to be as viable on defense as he was before. And Tuskens are going to be a huge problem, especially if you're facing Tusken Raider with its 3v3 datacron. That's going to be a nightmare. So I would recommend taking Gas on offense for that with either Rex or 5s. I think the most important thing to do is have 5s there. Rex himself might not be the most necessary, but you do need 5s in either Echo or Arc. Echo and 5s do play off each other and give some stat boost, so maybe Rex and Arc sit out and go with Captain Rex or something, but I don't know of his future either. And there's a lot of squads. We're about halfway done with the attack squads, but these should go faster. A lot of squads for 3v3. Reva can be countered by Admiral Radis. But I think Baze Malbus is a key component there. Now, I am new to Baze Malbus myself. If you watch my state of my account video from yesterday, you know, I just got this guy up and running, so I wasn't around for the Chase days, so I don't know his kit super well. I knew he gains turn meter for gaining buffs when the enemy gains buffs, which is great. They can't kill Jin. And Radis can prevent revives against Empire. So look out, use a good Rebel DC, and maybe you might make it work. If you're not facing Reva, you're facing something else like Iden Troopers or Tuskens without the Omicron, or the Tusken Raider Omicron. You could use another tank there, or even Cassian, and they're pretty solid. Padme is actually really versatile in 3v3. So you can do a Gidme squad, Moff Gideon, Shaak Ti. This will counter your Malicos teams as long as you don't have Kylo Ren and Masked, especially if they have the Malicos DC. That's going to rip them up. Or you could take in General Kenobi and Ahsoka Tano and have a just really solid team. Kenobi keeps them alive, Ahsoka Tano's assisting all the time, and you're going to kill them with courage. So it's a really strong team. For offense, this Seer Junta team should only be on offense. On defense, it's going to get ripped up by this team I just showed you up here. Gidme with Shaak Ti. By the way, Shaak Ti is... You really, really want Shaak Ti if you're going to Gidme Terran Malicos. Because she is a sport, one, which is a necessary condition, but also she has a dispel on her basic. She will dispel all the protection up on Malicos. If you have someone else like Yoda, he will not dispel that protection up, and he might not get through all his health and protection. But Malicos has a really high health pool, and that's why courage decimates him so much. His health is way more than his protection, so the courage is enough to kill him all the way. And Ahsoka Fulcrum does a lot of damage on her own, so this team is going to be good on offense if you do take it, and you don't have to face Leia with Slicker. Wampus kind of sad. I don't know what his role is going to be this season. He doesn't have armor penetration anymore. And even though set 12 is a lot of a copy of set 8, we do not have that protection up level 3 where you get it for all the dots. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. Just be careful. Imperial Troopers. So not sure exactly what the optimal use for them is, but they're going to be good on offense, and I would recommend the level 6 with the offense up and armor penetration up, and the level 3 with protection. So the protection gives them a boost of turn meter because they're starting out with a buff. And yes, all those buffs, the offense, crit chance up, crit damage up, are nice on the level 3. But with the level 6, you're going to get the best of it when offense up. That's the most important. Then armor penetration too. And Dark Trooper doesn't really care so much about crit. So crit chance, crit damage, mostly irrelevant to him unless you play to get the advantage. And then armor pen is going to be even more. So I think you're getting the best of both worlds there. And that defense to offense, not quite as impactful as it might have seemed before. Next, we got mostly leftover squads. Hux with Sith Trooper and First Order TIE Pilot. They can take something out if you just need to get to one key target fast. And they might even beat Afra. So, like, Hux prevents turn meter gain. So, Afra's turn meter gain at the beginning is canceled. And they could just full send and kill her, maybe, especially in their defensive stats. Thank you, Calvin, for bringing that up in the Council podcast the other day. Next up, we have Geonosians. And they can clean up Rey, Solo Rey. Or something else, but it's mostly what they do. If you're like a earlier game player in one of the lower divisions, like Carbonite, Bronzium, maybe solid on defense, and you already know that. Newt, this is a good Qui-Gon Jinn counter. It did work even with a good datacron, so it should still work even now. So if you do see Qui-Gon, you can use it, although Qui-Gon definitely loses a step. Now this. Bosk, Boba Fett, and Jango. I have written Tuskens or Night Sisters. I don't believe this will work against an optimized Tusken DC, but if they have like not the super level 6 datacron, this might be just fine, because Boba Fett can prevent revives, so can Jango Fett, and you can even use the Scoundrel datacron to prevent revives. So if you maybe want to send Fennec Shand somewhere in there, I don't know. I'm not going to try it first. Fennec Shand lead against Tuskens, but you're going to get a lot of debuffs, so it might work. And then if she can prevent revives, could work. Darth Vader's kind of fallen off. I never really get to use him that much. Even with Lord Vader, he's not like the best option. Like, you need Thrawn in there if you're going to set Lord Vader on defense with Maul. But could be a decent cleanup team. And then Dash with his Omicron and Vandor Chewie and Young Lando built up. This is going to be a solid team, especially with Scoundrel Datacrons. Look out for the cooldown reduction one. That's going to be pretty strong. Maybe even revive prevention. And then just a backup clone team for just if you need to clean up something. So these are just kind of leftover squads at the end. But that is all for now with the attack squads. On to the defensive teams. In last season, I don't think I put any GLs on defense only. They were either flex or offense. This season, definitely putting Leia firmly in the defense category. Yes, she can beat pretty much anything on offense, but I think it would probably be a waste to put her on offense. I don't know if the Jabba Datacron rolls over this team. I kind of think it won't, because you're probably going to be running Boushh and Chrysanthemum, and then you don't have the sides like Embo and Skifflando to do extra damage on Leia, because Leia isn't really hurt too much by the thermals. So I don't know how clean that's going to be. If it is super clean, maybe it's not going to be a clear defensive team anymore, but we'll see. I already alluded to Lord Vader and Maul want Thrawn there. That's usually the best combo. It does have a small chance to be beaten by bounty hunters, though it is more unlikely. We'll see if that changes with Scoundrel Datacrons. Cooldown reduction could be a big deal, so I don't know. But if you're facing this team with bounty hunters, you need to use Fennec, Greef, and Beskar Armor Mando. If you're setting this with Royal Guard, that could work as well, but you're more vulnerable to. I think bounty hunters can beat that easier, and Jedi Master Luke, I think, has an easier time. Thrawn just is annoying there with his turn meter swap and his fracture, so this is a pretty solid defensive team. And Malgus, yes, I know Cal can beat him, but I still like to set him with Marauder and Talon, because it does draw something decent. If it draws Cal, I consider that a win. I don't like if it's going to be drawing something really weak, but Malgus is really tanky. I know Darth Revan and Bastila are stronger here, but I like them with Malak too much to give them up here. And then Malak, I'm not sure what else I would do with him, honestly. Then Tuskens. You need to be afraid. You need to be very afraid of this team. If you go in there and you see them with the super long level 6 ability and the Tusken Warrior Datacron, be scared. You might need a GL. Gas is probably going to be my go-to plan. I don't think that's too expensive for it. Radis will even have trouble with the Tusken Raider Omicron, but maybe the Rebel damage reduction will help, because it'll mitigate the damage by dots. So we'll see. Maybe Radis will be like the cure here, but who knows. And next up we got Zori. I still think they're strong, even though they don't have any real active datacrons right now. Well, Zori is a scoundrel. So she can reset her cooldowns, or she can prevent revives. Any of those good level 6s take a bonus turn for killing someone. So I would try to get a decent scoundrel datacron level 6 to put with them. And they just draw something decent. So even if it's just Giant Revan, that's still a nice piece. Then if you're going to put Seer Malkos on defense, you absolutely have to put Kylo Ren Unmasked. I don't like it because, I mean, I wanted to use them on defense last season, but it just gets destroyed by Gin-Mei, so there is no point. And then Gin-Mei cannot hurt Kylo Ren Unmasked, really. He doesn't take damage from the Courage, and only if they set the Malakos Datacron, which is worse if you don't realize, if someone hasn't realized that by now, the Malakos level 9 hurts you. I didn't call it right away in my Datacron video, so I apologize if I was the reason someone thought that was good. But they can just melt him if there's no Kylo Ren Unmasked there. Or if they have the Datacron there, but they probably won't be able to kill Kylo Ren Unmasked. It just depends. Maybe with enough armor shred. Sana is an option. Cara Dune and Rolo. They have to be really developed. I'm not scared of this team when I see it, but if you need filler, might as well set it. Sortie is a good option. It kind of requires Bad Batch. And actually, there's another Sortie team I forgot to put up top. I'll just leave it at the bottom because it's easier. But Lord Vader with Maul and Sortie actually cost me a battle with JML. So I figured it would be easy. I can just mark Maul down. But I wasn't quick enough to get the mark, and Maul took damage and got stealth because of VIP. So I don't know if that was just a one-off for me. It's not a super common thing. I saw it literally just the once, but it's an idea. It could be something to mess up your day. General Grievous, I don't know if I'll be setting him this season. If I do, it's because I need a lot more teams, but I think it's mainly just Wampa fodder right now, and Bad Batch can handle it just fine, so. And also Bad Batch against this Droidica lineup, I think if you use Wrecker, it's a lot safer instead of Tech. Sortie with BB-8 and R2 is an option if you don't have Leia and you're just trying to make teams. Otherwise, R2 belongs with Leia, and Sortie you could do something clever with. Saul Guerrera, I will be looking forward to setting him because we got a lot of teams, and he's annoying. If you have his Omicron, he's gonna frustrate some people. He's even stopped Starkiller on offense from time to time. So, yeah. Next up, we got a couple options with Hondo. I use the second one here because I like to keep Bam in case I need bounty hunters on offense. But you could try to annoy people with Nest, or use Queel to share stats for Hondo. Try to bulk him up in some way, either with defense or extra health or protection. But the goal is just to keep him alive. I actually won a match because I got a hold with them last season, and I was thinking there was no chance of that, so you never know. And here, future is uncertain for Captain Rex in 3v3. I don't know what to do with them because I do want 5s to take with General Skywalker for Tuskens. And I don't know how good this team will do without a Datacron. They don't have Captain Rex's Datacron anymore, which made his Phoenix ability applicable to the clones, dispelling daze and ability block. So we'll see. I can't pretend to tell you how that's going to play out. Admiral Trench, if you were to give up Watt, could be pretty annoying using Count Dooku, maybe even Jango, but I would not advise doing so. Leftover Inquisitors might be a thing, again, if you just need teams and you went for Reva pretty early. If you have, well, there's no Datacron anymore, but Tarful, I'm waiting to see how he does now because I haven't built him up. If he's a dud with that Datacron, probably not going to do it. And then this is the last one just to chew on a bit in the next 2 weeks because we're going to unlock Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, and people are going to be able to use him at least for the last week of GAC. And maybe you could put him with them all in Imperial Super Commando and it'll be interesting. I don't know. Just keep an eye out. That or an Imperial Remnant team, which we have yet to see, but I'm also pretty attached to the Gin-Mei team. So maybe it would just be Moff Gideon, Scout, and someone else, but who knows. And that is it for defense. Now our last major segment is Flex Squads, starting with Jedi Master Kenobi. So Flex teams are, like I said earlier, teams that can be used either on offense or on defense. It's up to you. And that's a lot of where the strategy comes in Great Arena. So Jedi Master Kenobi, I think, will be a amazing counter to Jabba in 3v3 if we do need him for that. If Jabba's just, or Afra's just taking care of Jabba, just sweeping him up, doesn't matter. But no revive datacron could be useful. Maybe even can take Leia, but you won't be able to reset the cooldown, so that just might be an option against an ultimate Leia, preventing them from bringing anyone back. And maybe you could hang out, make it work, just putting damage immunity on Jedi Master or General Kenobi for here and there. If you were taking on Jabba, I like Mason there. You could use GK somewhere else, either with Jedi Knight Luke or something, or Padme. It's pretty flexible, but he's an awesome offensive tool or defensive tool if you want to be strategic. Lord Vader could go on offense too. I think Lord Vader and Royal Guard are a good use against Riva, but might not work as well with its super defense DC. Although the size will mount pretty fast, and then Lord Vader can use true damage with his first special, so maybe it is a good counter for Riva if you just take a Royal Guard, and then you can use small somewhere else. But I think it's probably more of a defensive team, even though there are good counters to it. And then Rey, so either offense or defense. I'm not sure what the best answer for her on defense is. I get really frustrated with Jedi training Rey stacking evasion, but Cal does the same thing. So Cal has evasion mastery, and if you leave him alone for long enough, if you're using Starkiller or something else and you're just gaining Terminator, he's going to wrap up his evasion. You can never hit him, unless it's an unavoidable attack. I don't know if Malicos can beat it on defense or not. It's going to be a really strong team. It might even motivate me to bring my own for a mirror, but JMK would be a good option here. Maybe Jabba too. And Jabba, as noted here, is new and improved with a Bruce datacron and a level 6 that gives not only extra thermals, but damage immunity as well, and a lot of extra benefits. It's a whole package. However, even though it's amazing, it's not unbeatable on defense. So you could put it on defense, but it's borderline offense only for me just because of Afra. Like, if your opponent has Afra, and like the Afra datacron, keep it on offense. If they don't have it, that might be an option to put it on defense. So who knows? And I think I talked about it. I don't know if this team can beat Rey still. For me, it might be irrelevant because I'm going to use Malicos to beat Leia, and I'm pretty sure I'll see Leia all the time. But there could be some mind games there of like, won't they set Leia? Is she in the back? Who knows? And if you're taking on Leia, I don't know what the necessary team is. Kylo Ren and Mask could be another option too, but you definitely need Seer Malicos. Fulcrum, I'm inclined to think, is less necessary because she mainly brings damage, and Malicos has more than enough of that. And then Cal does keep them alive, so maybe Cal's the third here. Maybe that works on Rey. Just keep an eye out, but stacking defense level 6 should help, and get as much health as you can. Riva, it's flex team. I think it's super strong. It doesn't have the same cheap counters all the time as it does in 5v5. Like Phoenix, not an option in 3v3, although Admiral Radix can work. It is difficult. So I think she can be great on defense or on offense. On offense, she can manhandle at least Jedi Galactic Legends and others too. And then we have Starkiller with a Repose DC. I think it's a bona fide option for defense. So set it on defense or bring it on offense and try to bang your head against the wall. Trying to kill Rey with it. I don't know what I want to do. I hate doing this versus Rey, especially versus well-modded, well-datacroned teams. Rey, and Ben, it's just a huge pain. But they are really tough with set 11 datacrons. Then Darth Revan, they don't have like a dedicated like faction bonus or like necessarily a perfect level 3, although offensive buffs on them is really good. I would try to give them good stats and just like a dark side set 11 with the offensive buffs that you don't necessarily need for someone else with those faction bonuses, and they're going to be pretty strong, either offense or defense. This is the best counter, in my opinion, to Seer, Malicos, and Kylo Ren Masked. Probably should have put that in the name there. There we go, name updated. Seer, Malicos, crew. This is a fantastic counter because you could fear Malicos all day. This team is really tough, and Malik just sucks the life out of them. Well, you remove the Tauntaun crew, and then you try to kill Malicos with the Drain Life. Gas, if you're going to put it on defense or offense, the best comp is Rex and 5s. Like I said, I don't know if Tussens are going to fall to Echo 5s or Arc 5s too, but Revive prevention is really valuable here. He doesn't have as much armor pen anymore, so might not be valuable on defense, but just depends what your opponent is used to using. CLS, 3PO Chewie, and then other 3PO is a great team. Either defense or offense. With a 75% damage reduction, it's tough to deal with because that's applying to everyone, not just Wookiees like last time, so it's not like CLS is an easy kill. Give them some health steal too, like they're really annoying to deal with. They could go offense too, I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly what they counter well, but they're a solid team, don't leave them out. Next we got Dash Han and Chewie, and while there is a Rebel datacron that can apply to Han and Chewie, we want to go with the cooldown reset if we can, because Han gets, there's so many turns in a row. Han starts the battle, he shoots, Chewbacca assists, so that's, and Han's hitting twice, so that's 3 hits, and Han gets 100% turn meter because it resets his cooldowns. It's kind of unfortunate that you can't save the reset until you've used this special, but then you can use Deadeye, gain 100% turn meter, and Chewbacca assist, that's 5 attacks, and then do the basic again, that's another 3. So you do 8 attacks before they get to do anything. It's amazing. This will be my go-to counter against Aphra if it is set. Super duper strong. Traya, this is a classic team now. Traya, Nihilus, and Savage. I don't trust it against Reva as much anymore. You could beat Malicos with it. I think it's pretty valuable on defense. And yes, it can beat Reva. That's why I kept that in the name here. But it is not as safe as it once was. Because, I don't know, this team isn't as durable as they have been when there was a Sith Datacron on set 9. So, who knows? But it's still an amazing team. Then this, I think this is the team you use against Jabba, Asajj, and Marin in there too. But it's risky. I wouldn't want to risk it. But someone beat my Jabba last 3v3 with like an under gear, like a gear 12 Marin or something. I was like, what the crap is happening here? So it's a really low win rate, but apparently there are people that know what they're doing. I'd feel risky doing it, and I just probably use it against something that maybe I could cheese and get good banners. I don't know. Offense or defense. We'll see if it has legs on defense. I don't know. And then Iden, you can either put it on defense, in which case I'd recommend probably Scout Trooper, maybe even Stormtrooper. If you have a Stormtrooper datacron, that's great. Scout Trooper, level 9, that's great too. If you're trying to take on CLS, probably the best comp is Death Trooper and Scout Trooper. If you don't have Scout Trooper up and running, Range Trooper should do just fine most of the time. I recommend going all in on CLS, trying to kill him, and then move on to 3PO and Chewie. Although, it might be hard with the 75% damage reduction DC. But if you have a good datacron, they should hit really hard. Then Qui-Gon, it's kind of a sad day. He was falling off before he got his datacron, and then it made him way more viable, or valid. Yeah, viable, I don't know. Relevant is what I was looking for. It made him way more relevant, but now they've fallen off. I don't know if you want to use them on offense or defense. Offense, they're going to be pretty useful in a pinch if you need some just massive damage. But on defense, might just lose to Bad Batch if you don't have them set up right, so who knows? Might put them on defense, so it's nice on defense in 3v3 because you don't have to have 2 fillers, it's just the core 3, which is those 3. And then if you want to set Raditz on defense, which I really don't recommend, he can be tricky for people to deal with, especially if you have a good set 11 Rebel damage reduction or something. You need a tank, you can't put Cassian there. Cassian's going to make it way easier to kill them. K2SO is a better tank than what I have, Scarif Rebel Pathfinder. I mean, I have Baze Malbus now, so I'll probably use that, but you need a tank. And then Mon Mothma, they're much better with 75% damage reduction, but I probably won't use them really for her. I'll probably put Kara Katarn and Cara Dune with Saw, unless I'm using Baze, but I don't have Trude up and running yet, so I don't know. And our last two, some of the laughing stock factions for a long time. Ewoks are pretty strong in 3v3, and I haven't decided yet whether I will personally use them at 3v3 because if you'll notice, I'm missing Zetas, and I don't know if I want to do that investment. And while Paploo might be better than Wicket, Wicket is required for Leia, so probably what I'd stick with. They do have more value now with the speeder bike raids, so if you are developing them, you are going to get some extra bang for your buck for the next few months. I don't know, I'd be careful about it. And the absolute last thing we're talking about is Jawas. I don't know the absolute best third, but I'm pretty sure Chief Nevitt and Scavenger, if you have them, are the mandatory ones. Scavenger for sure. And that's only if you have a Java datacron, datacron, because it's gonna make them really annoying. Be closer to like a Conquest Jawas. So I don't look forward to facing it. I hope it's not a factor, but it very well might be. That is all our flex. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is flex because on defense, I feel like you can just cherry pick this. You can use even OG Kylo Ren or Malik, the solo, because they're not worried about thermals. So you might want to take them on offense. Taking them on offense, you could really cherry pick who's going to be doing a lot of hits and is not going to be able to withstand thermals a lot. And might get some really good banners there. So just something to keep in mind, might be worth it on offense too. But yeah, that is it for Flex. That's all, folks. I hope you feel more prepared for 3v3 this season, and I've enjoyed going through these squads. Helps me remember as well. Share your opinions down below, and don't forget to like if you did actually enjoy. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you all later.